don't drown lessons, right? Let's go to don't drown lessons today, You go to your water, you're going to drown. It's like, yeah, that's a part of swimming. That's a part of water sports. It's not really great to go wakeboarding if you don't know how to swim. You just got to get that over with. So that's what I want to make concussion education, is that you just got to get that over with, and then we play sports. You play football, you play soccer, you play lacrosse. Because wait, remember how many concussions of kids happen in sports? 20%, right? So what are the 80%? Like me and my brothers, we would go back in the sand pits, which are now Superfund toxic waste sites, and we would take plywood and we would make these ramps on our bikes. I mean, that's what we did. We'd fall over all the time. There were no coaches, there were no refs, there were no rules. If you could build it with plywood, we jumped it. That's what we did. So again, we're talking all about sports and getting worked up about sports, but there's this whole other world of outside organized sports, X-Games sports, that don't have referees hanging around.
Wouldn't football be a lot more safer if they didn't wear all the equipment, if you wore like a rugby outfit? Because the helmet, doesn't the helmet and the pads make the fall that much harder, and people hit harder because since they have the helmet on, they can hit with the helmet, and that wouldn't be an issue if they weren't wearing it?
That is one of the reasons where, at this point, U.S. Lacrosse has decided not to put girls in helmets, and soccer has resisted helmets. Is that when you put a helmet on someone, they tend to feel invincible, and they tend to be more aggressive. But back into football, I'm getting to know the NFL, they're getting to know me, and I was invited yesterday up to Harvard, where Roger Goodell, who's the commissioner of football, gave a speech to Harvard School of Public Health, which I didn't know this, but Harvard School of Public Health, that's where the designated driver campaign came out of, and a lot of different health things that have come out in our country come from this institute and then spiraling out into the country. So Roger went to them and gave this speech yesterday and said, we want help to try to make football safer. These are the things we're doing. New equipment, new helmets, video cameras. So one of the things with the helmets is they may design a different helmet for different positions, is what he was talking about yesterday. That there may be an offensive type of helmet, a defensive type of helmet, and I think the defensive positions are now broken down into 8, 12 different types of positions. Now each of them may have different helmet. And again, helmet technology, it's still the brain shaking inside. So they're looking at sensors in arm pads and shoulder pads, sensors in the head. They now have ATs up in the press box watching cameras, and all they're doing is watching for players. Then they call down to the cell phones if they see one to one of the med staff on the field to pull that player. So a lot of it is observation, like what can we see out there, who can we pull out, and can we pull the player out earlier. So and Roger was just saying, yeah, hey, we need help with this. We want to make football safer. How the best to do that? So your question. With contact too, with helmet, the NFL has contact. They say sometimes the contact in the NFL, I think they play 1 or 2 days of full contact, where you can have youth football playing 4 to 5 days of full contact practice. So how many times are we hitting? Reduce those subconcussive hits. So again, it's he was up there yesterday saying, this is what we're doing, this is what we're trying, and we want to try more things.
And do you know the stats, how many concussions occur in rugby? For rugby, I mean, because I feel like rugby is a very contact sport that isn't really known for having concussions.
Well, see, there's always it's how do you ask them? If you ask a bunch of people in a room, say you get a rugby team in a room or a football team in the room, and you say to them, put your name on the paper and tell me if you had a concussion. You'll get one number. If you say, don't put your name on the paper, tell me if you have a concussion. Or let's say you give these symptoms, that sheet I gave you. Have you ever, in a sporting event, felt one or more of these symptoms? You get a completely different number. And there's also this warrior attitude, which they've seen in the soldiers, and they've seen in athletes, and it can be in field hockey players, in boy football players, and soccer players, that, you love your team. You want to play. You're out there because you love the sport. You don't want to say you're hurt. You don't want to get pulled out. So Our rugby, and there are, especially like Australian rules football, they're finding the more they look into these sports where they say they don't have a lot of concussions, it's because they haven't educated their players and they don't know exactly what a concussion is. And in sports where you don't have a helmet, they're going to be more likely to do shoulder hits than head-to-head hits because it hurts, right? When football had leather helmets, it was a different kind of blow that they were getting than when they had the plastic helmets. But there were different kinds of injuries there. We had football players dying of skull fractures. So we changed the helmet to protect against one kind of brain injury, and it brings up another kind of brain injury.
Could you just talk a little bit about like the different kinds of hits and what because there's so many symptoms. My guess is it's because different parts of the head are hit and it affects different parts of.
I emailed you, and I think it'd be worth it in your class to basically bring up the brain and the different parts of the brain, and it shows if you're hit in those types of, let's say you're hit on this side, that may affect a certain kind of behavior, and I think.
Okay, I just didn't look at them yet. I'll get them for you on
another
Monday.
time, but you also have where you're hit, let's say you're hit, our brains are meant to be hit front to back. We're not meant to be hit by the side. Our brains are kind of designed for this kind of hit. You could be hit here, but then your brain bounces back. And one of the things that we're looking at are why are girl concussions and boy concussions different? Because they are. Is it because girls are whiners and we report our concussions more? They don't think so. They actually think girls probably report less. But what we know is girls concuss 4 to 1 to boys. And when girls concuss, they concuss twice as long as boys. And one of the thoughts is it may have to do with neck muscles. So your skulls all weigh about the same if I were to weigh them on a scale. But a boy naturally has stronger muscles in the neck than a girl. So if a boy gets a concussion, his head can go like this. So you can get bounce, bounce, bounce. So let's say the brain hits 4 times in a boy's concussion. With a girl, you have the same the same head strength. The muscles in the neck are weaker, so the girl is more like a whiplash. Her head moves further back and further forward and may move more times than a boy. So maybe a girl's brain bounces inside 8 times. Is that the difference why girls' concussions are longer? And Megan and I did this group, and the doctor looked through all of his patients to find post-concussive kids, and that's where your symptoms go beyond 3 weeks. 80% of people clear up and are back to normal after 3 weeks. And what we're learning is they still may be vulnerable. It may not be great to go back to a sport then. There's 20% that don't heal. Those 20% usually by 6 months will be healed, and then there'll be another 2 to 3% where it takes a year or more to heal from a concussion. And why are those people still in that realm when other people have healed? So they don't know exactly why. Is it the part of your brain that it's hit? They do know that if Megan comes and hits me from the back and I don't see her coming, generally that's a concussion where I haven't tensed my body. If you have a couple of seconds, you can get ready for it. They know hits, rotational hits, how your head turns, how your brain twists inside. A lot of these sensors are made for this back and forth action, but they don't yet do that rotational one. I looked at a prototype mouth guard that has basically a compass inside of it, so when you fall, this gyroscope inside can take readings of how you're twisted. So again, everybody's throwing different things at this. You'll see guardian caps. There's this one person that has this giant foam thing you're supposed to wear on your head at football practice. You look like a complete alien, like Martian. You know, you'll see these girls, girl soccer players with these bands around. I have parents every week that send me their new invention to help with concussions. I think some people are sincere. I think other people are trying to make a lot of money right now. But, the pieces haven't come together yet. They haven't figured it out, which is kind of exciting because, hopefully while you guys are, in college, I'm really hoping in the next 4 or 5 years, a lot of these lines will connect and we'll have some answers. You guys are also the first group that has really played soccer, and in your lifetime, year-round soccer has started. Year-round lacrosse, you have fall lacrosse. You guys have played 2 to 3 sports. Travel teams, when I was a kid, started in 9th grade. Travel teams now start in 3rd grade. So you guys have played more sports, more intense sports. You guys are bigger, stronger, faster than we were. So what we're seeing in 30 to 40-year-olds with head injuries is going to be different than your generation. So it's kind of a scramble for us to learn what we can from our data, because you guys are coming next, and you had a different childhood than we did.
Does anybody else have any questions?
What do you think about the impact test? I'm just curious.
What do I think about the impact test?
Both of you, yeah.
I think the impact test is a great tool. I don't think it should be used as a deciding factor. I think as an athletic trainer, I have been given a ton of different techniques, the resources to use in diagnosing a concussion and deciding when an athlete is able to return to play. I think that solely looking at just the impact test is negligent. I think that there are a ton of other things that go into determining when an athlete is either concussed or ready to return to play.
And it also depends how you use it. As an educator, I'll go out to a hockey team and I'll say, I have impact tests. Here's this concrete thing you can pay for and your parents can buy and your kids can take. And then I also have concussion education. It's kind of fuzzy. People have to come out at night and they have to sit and listen to me. And more likely teams will be like, oh, we want that test. We want to take that test there because then we can put it in our email that we did it and it's easy and someone paid for it. So when you have, let's say a team, the team took the test and one of the kids was injured in a hockey game, and the dad called me up. And he said, you have our baseline, my kid's injured, he's really hurt, I need the baseline back. And I'm like, well, tell me this story. And he said, well, my kid was skating and he got thrown up against the boards, he hit his head, he was down on the ice, the coach came out, they brought him back to the box, and they were talking, and he didn't have a headache, but my son told the coach that he had blurry vision and he couldn't read any of the numbers on the other kid's jerseys. And the coach was like, swore at the kid, sent him back out on the ice. Kid skated for 3 minutes, collapsed head first into the ice. Now we got 2 blows. The kid was unconscious at that point and left in an ambulance. And the father said to me, I don't know how this happened. We impact tested my kid. I'm like, yeah, we impact tested him. That's like, impact testing a kid and putting him in the back of a pickup truck and driving around real fast, and when he flies out, let's impact him again and see what the difference is. Like, unless you change the behavior, you wear car seats. We teach people about car seats. We have to teach people about concussions. That coach wasn't trained. So impact is great, but it's a second level. I'd rather see parents trained, coaches trained, kids trained. Get everybody trained, then you could do impact as a tool, as one of many tools. There's a lot of backlash against impact testing right now because, who's making money on it, how many schools are using it. Some schools say that it's too much work. Westport put it in, Westport took it out. I've tried to get Norwalk to use it, but they don't have enough money and time to do 600 athletes in each high school. So there's a lot of controversy about it. And in the end, it's really education. That's one of the things Roger Goodell was talking about yesterday, is that it's about educating. It's about you knowing what a concussion is. So when you see him fall down the stairs and act kooky, you know what to do. It's about you knowing what to do when you see her hit her head in a car accident and she wants to continue driving to the mall. It's like, those are the pieces where we're really going to make a difference. Yeah, in my son's case, the impact test was brand new. The nurse came out to me and said, your son scrambled. I'm like, is that a medical term? Like, she had never seen an impact test that low, and he got hit by a soccer ball at recess. No one really cared until the impact test. So there are cases where it can make a difference, but people fixate it as the answer. It doesn't keep kids from getting concussions, and if you do it instead of education, all it's going to show you is a trail of destruction. Right? Any questions on this side of the room? Nothing? It's 10:06. Is that?
Yep. We have